Good afternoon. Myself Venice Alexander, MSc B.Ed. I have 10 years experience in teaching a biology subject in CBSE board as well as in ICSE board, 1 year as a NEET faculty. So today I am going to discuss about the topic tissue. What is tissue? So tissue, this is the topic as a fundamental topic in the biology subject. So we might have studied in the previous class, the cell is a fundamental unit of life. Okay, and let's recollect how the cell is a fundamental unit of life. The cell having all the cell organelles necessary for the cell activity. Okay, group of cells, they form a tissue, group of tissue form an organ, group of organ forms organ system, a group of organ system forms organism. That's we have studied in the previous class. Okay, so group of cells, they form tissue. Group of cells form tissue. Well, this group of cells are dissimilar. Different types of cells are forming a tissue, not like that. So that the cells are alike in origin as well as similar in function. This type of cells forms a tissue. A group of cells which are similar origin as well as in similar function. Okay, structurally, functionally similar group of cells forms a tissue. Okay, tissue. The study of tissue is known as an histology. The study of tissue is known as histology. So based on their presence, that tissues are classified into plant tissue as well as an animal tissue. Plant tissue as well as animal tissue. So based on their presence in the organisms. We are going to discuss about the plant tissue. Okay, so plant tissue again classified into meristematic tissue and permanent tissue. Plant tissue classified into meristematic tissue and permanent tissue. What is meristematic tissue? What is meristematic tissue? So meristematic tissues are composed of actively dividing cells. Actively dividing cells. They are continuously doing the cell division process. The main function of meristematic cells, say they are involved in the continuous cell divisions. Okay, so they are. Who has given the term meristem? So where do we get this word? So we get this word meristem, meristematic from the Greek language. So we get it from the Greek language meristos. Meristos. So meristos means divisible. Meristos means divisible. Okay, so this type of cells, they continuously involve in cell divisions. For what purpose they have to involve in the cell divisions? Later on they make an permanent cells. These permanent cells occupy the definite shape, then they will do their particular function. So meristematic tissues are composed of actively dividing cells. So we call it a meristematic cell. Meristematic cells. Okay. What is the character of this meristematic cells? What will be the character? The characters are features. The character are features. Number one, the size. It is smaller in size. Smaller in size. So meristematic cells are smaller in size. isodiametric, thick cytoplasm, thin cell wall, prominent nucleus, so small vacuole are absent. Small vacuole are absent. So these are the features of meristematic cells. So the meristematic cells are smaller in size. They continuously involve in the cell division process. They are isodiametric in nature. So isodiametric. Okay, they possess a thick cytoplasm. Meristematic cells possess thick cytoplasms and they have this thin cell wall. So obviously we can see the prominent nucleus in the meristematic cell. The nucleus are prominent, visible. Okay, so the meristematic cells either possess small vacuole or the vacuoles are absent. So why they are either small vacuoles or absent? Why the vacuoles are absent? Most of the meristematic cells, the vacuoles are absent. Why? Why the vacuoles are absent? So already I told the nature of the meristematic cells. What is the nature of meristematic cell? Meristematic cells are actively dividing cells. They are involved in the cell divisions. So you know the nature of the vacuole. What is the nature of vacuole? In plant cells, the vacuoles are larger in size. Am I right? In plant cell. In plant cells, the vacuoles are larger in size. And what is the function of this vacuole? What it will do? So, the main function of the vacuole is store food material. Store water. Store waste material. Am I right? The main function of the vacuole, what we studied, that is, they are larger in size and especially they are storing the food material, store water molecules and store waste material. So these are the main function of the vacuoles. Is it required? All these functions are required in the meristematic cell? No. The meristematic cells are smaller and they are actively involved in cell division process, so they do not require to store the food materials, to store water, to store waste materials. Am I right? That is the reason the meristematic cells lack vacuole, or the vacuole are absent in the meristematic cells, because the meristematic cells, they continuously involve in the cell division process. Got it? That's good. Let's move on to another level. So meristematic cells are classified. So classification of meristematic tissue. Based on position. So meristematic tissue are classified based on the position as well as based on the origin and based on the function. Okay, we are going to see the based on the position. So meristematic tissues are classified based on the position. How it is classified? So based on the position, it is classified as apical meristem. It is classified as intercalary meristem. It is classified as lateral meristem. Lateral meristem. With the help of the diagram, it will be easy to understand. Let me draw the diagram. So based on the position, meristem is classified into apical meristem, intercalary meristem and lateral meristem. So this is the diagram. Okay, fine. So this portion we call it an apical meristem. That's a tip of root and stem. So where do we identify the apical meristem? At the tip of the root as well as at the tip of the stem. Okay, then intercalary meristem. Then intercalary meristem, it is identified in between the internodes. In between the internode. Okay, we have the portion called node and internode. So if we call this is a node and this will be internode. That will be internode. So intercalary meristems are identified in between the internode. Between internode. Got it? Fine. So next one is an lateral meristem. Lateral. So longitudinal. It is present at the longitudinal position of the plant. Longitudinal position. Okay, fine. So we have seen this is the diagram. So meristematic tissues are classified based on their position. Number 1 is an apical meristem. Number 2 is an intercalary meristem. Number 3 is a lateral meristem. Where do we identify the apical meristem? Apical meristems are found at the tip of the root and stem. So intercalary meristems are found in between the internode. In between the internode, lateral meristems are identified at the longitudinal axis of the plant. Okay, what is the function of this apical meristem? What is the function of the apical meristem? So apical meristem, the function of the apical meristem, increase the length of the root and shoot. Increase the length of the root and shoot. Overall, it increase the plant growth. So overall, it increase the plant growth, and later on, these apical meristems developed into permanent tissue. That apical meristem later on developed into permanent tissue and loses the dividing capacity. So So it loses dividing capacity, then it develops as a permanent tissue. Okay, that we will discuss later. So what is the function of the apical meristem? Apical meristem involved increasing the length of the root and shoot, overall growth of the plant. Okay, what is the intercalary meristem function? Intercalary meristem, elongation of the internode, increase the length of the internode. So that's the function of the intercalary meristem, elongation of the internode. The next one is the lateral meristem. The lateral meristem increase the width and girth of the stem. The size of the stem will be increased because of the lateral meristem. Increase the width and girth of the stem of the plant. Okay. Next we classify the meristematic tissue based on its origin. Based on its origin. So meristematic tissue is classified based on its origin. How it will be classified? So number 1, prototerm. Number 2 is procambium. Number 3 is ground tissue. Ground tissue. Okay, prototerm and procambium, ground tissue. What is in prototerm? The prototerm is derived from the embryonic stage of the plant. Embryonic stage. So it is involved in the primary structure of the plant. Primary structure of the plant, procambium. So vascular bundles formation and epidermis. So prototerm, embryonic development. Embryonic development, that is a primary structure. So procambium, vascular tissue formation, vascular tissue, cork cambium. So ground tissue derived from all type of tissue. Except epidermis, vascular bundle. So based on its origin, the meristematic cells is classified into prototerm, procambium, ground tissue. Prototerms are derived from the embryonic developments. So they are involved in the primary structures of the plant. So procambiums are originally formed from the vascular tissues, and cork cambiums are formed from the procambium. Ground tissues, all type of tissues are formed except the epidermis and vascular bundles. Got it? So the meristematic tissue again classified based on their function. Based on their function. Based on their functions, so they are classified in based on their function, that is an epidermis. Okay, epidermis. So we will find it at epidermis as well as an then hypodermis. Then we call it an cambium, cork. Then finally we form the formation of the ground tissue. Okay, let's move on to the next level. So far we have discussed about the meristematic tissues. So we have to concentrate more on the based on the position. So based on the position, meristematic tissues is classified into apical meristem as well as the intercalary meristem and then We discussed lateral meristem. Let's move on to the permanent tissue. Permanent tissue. The permanent tissue. So group of cells, they take a definite shape, size and do a particular function. Okay, so that's we call it in permanent tissue. Group of cells which take a definite shape as well as that structure and function. Okay, so the permanent tissue lost cell divisible ability. So last is the cell division capacity. Okay, so it takes a definite shape. It takes a definite shape and particular function. Got it? Clear? So permanent tissue lots is a cell division capacity and it takes a definite shapes and do particular function. Okay, fine. So it's all two types. Permanent tissue are two types based on the composition of the cells. Certain permanent tissue are made up of only one type of cells. Okay, certain permanent tissue is made up of only one type of cells. That's known as a simple permanent tissue. Simple permanent tissue. Okay, so it will possess only one type of cells. It possesses only one type of cells. Okay, simple permanent tissues are of three types. One is an